Come on. A round of applause, please. Give it up for our amazing panel. Come on, let's get some energy in here.
All right, let's get started. So today's panel is about AI and the future of the decentralized AI data. And then I'm Terrence. I'm from Google, the Web3 BD leads, and also currently co-founding my own AI agent project as well. So let's kickstart to introduce yourself. Please.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Evgeny, co-founder of Fluence. We are working on decentralized cloud computing platform. And we started from serverless compute. We are launching virtual machines and going towards the GPUs, which is very helpful for AI in particular. Yeah.
My name's Inder. I'm with D3. We're building like an interop layer to connect naming and proofs and everything on and off chain. So like real domains that you can work on chain and vice versa.
Hey everyone, I'm Ron. I'm co-founder of Theoriq. My background, I've been an entrepreneur and working in AI a long time. Things like led AI development at QuantCast to build a multi-hundred-million-dollar ad tech business. Then I created an enterprise AI company, sold it to Teradata. Then I was in the Google Cloud CTO office responsible for applied AI, so a Zoogler. And then just before this, I started engineering practice to support 500 researchers and 100 industry sponsors at the Vector Institute. So me and my co-founders at Theoriq really got red-pilled about how important it was to have a decentralized open ethos with Web3. We believe that AI is the most transformative technology of our lifetimes, and we can't let a few billionaires control it. We believe that point of the spear where the most impact is going to happen is AI agents. We're rapidly moving to a world where we will all rely on teams of agents working together to solve more and more tasks. A majority of knowledge work will be done by AI agents. And so at Theoriq, we're building an open protocol to enable that for anyone to build and capture the knowledge they have in collaborating agents. We just launched our testnet last month. We have over 10 million interactions thus far in the first month and about 120,000 users so far. So really excited for the agentic future and how we as a decentralized AI community come together.
My name is Chetan, and I'm Director of Product at Near AI. And we are aligning ourselves as the blockchain for AI.
All right, so let's come to the first question. So the first question is, what is the ideal future relationship between the AI models and the decentralized networks that support them from your perspective? From the Jenny.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna have. Currently the biggest problem with AI is this centralization and that being run by biggest companies and controlled and trained and full from end to end controlled by big tech. And we're gonna see a lot of open source companies and open source models and communities working together on AI. So I guess the map between AI models and decentralized networks is that in order to organize the whole process of data collection, labeling, creating data sets, training model, governing the model, and then doing inference in a neutral fashion. You need different kind of infrastructure, and these all are kind of decentralized networks. You can think of them as a chains. You can think of them as a DePIN networks, right? But the point is that it's some sort of more neutral infrastructure versus centralized companies with token incentives, with some economics in it on every step of the AI sort of process.
I kind of agree with that. I think AI, we'll see a higher plane emerge of controlling AI. The models everywhere, they're centralized. We worked on petabytes of data, thousands of developers, and these people are all working in a centralized system. With AI, we want the regular users to be able to participate in this, and I think that's what blockchains will enable. Whether it's training, whether it's providing your data, whether it's compute, whether it's incentivization, just a fair participation for all people in this value chain. And I think that will be the biggest thing blockchains bring to the table.
I think the centralized AI players are pretty far ahead right now in model creation, and we're still at a point of rapid improvement, so that open source typically will commoditize and catch up as innovation slows down. So I think the it's quite challenging in an arms race where the biggest companies are spending billions of dollars to be in the lead on models for even using token incentives to catch up. I think it's a good fight, but I also think the important thing is that we don't allow any of them to become a monopolist and build a walled garden and lock everyone in, not through the models that are already fairly commoditized in the sense that, yes, it's $1 billion to train them, but they're very substitutable. And Facebook has their own motivations for open weight models that at least give a fair bit of access. But what we can't do is let OpenAI, for example, make it so that all the agents are built with their proprietary APIs. They have all the agent data, and it becomes they are a monopolist that controls our agentic future. Right? So I think we have more leverage as a community to fight and keep openness at the agent layer, and then do a rearguard fight to open up the models next. That's my view.
I think the best way to think about this is really kind of taking a page out of history. And when you look at back in the 90s, we had America Online, which was kind of a centralized version of the internet. And then you had the internet, which was open and decentralized. And what we found that won is the internet won over America Online. And the reason is that we essentially had an open ecosystem where people could innovate, people could offer back, they could own, they could essentially, we had a much more vibrant ecosystem. And I think the same is true for the AI space. I'm very confident that the decentralized open ecosystem will win out. The question is how rapidly will that happen, and what is the timeline for that to happen? So I think it's really on all of us to really try to make that reality be sooner rather than later.
Didn't Apple recreate America Online with the App Store?
No, because I think it's a much more limited version. I think that they created something that made sense for that particular ecosystem. But I think America Online was trying to do something much wider.
Yeah, I think from the Google perspective, to be honest, now I can see that more and more projects and also enterprises, they are combining with the decentralized computing power with the centralized one like from the Google Cloud. Because I can see that the decentralized computing power is more cost effective. And then you can see that maybe some 800s and also H100s, the price from the decentralized network is much cheaper than Google. Yes, that's what we can see that we are also facing great challenges from them. But however, I think from the decentralized networks, there is biggest challenge is the scalability. So the next question I want to ask is, what are the biggest scalability challenges for deploying AI models on the decentralized network, and how are you tackling them?
Yeah, I think biggest current challenge is that in the training, like people use big GPU clusters like well-connected over NVMe, right, and like InfiniBand GPU clusters to train big models. And and the vision of decentralized network is we have GPUs provided by different people, they in different locations, but they together should work to train like the single model, right, to collectively. And the problem is like training algos are not there yet. There is some upcoming great research like moving it towards, but we are not yet on par with like the performance and in terms of like performance and cost efficiency and training times for large-scale models on the distributed networks. So that's actually like the biggest challenge is here, because like for inference, usually you can do inference already on like high-end GPUs. You can do inference on decentralized networks. You can solve the latency, but the training is a big problem right now.
Yeah, I think like I have a feeling everyone's going to mention training and compute and data co-location. Those are like always been problems in decentralization. I do want to say that this is the first time everyone cares about decentralization. We've all been building AI models for the past like 15, 20 years, and this is the first time there's so much pressure on decentralization and not having a single person win. However, the thing I think we'll be facing with scalability is actually product adoption. We are rebuilding the whole thing over and over again and asking people to meet us where we are. I think the scalability will come from blockchains scaling up to be part of the tool chain already that the developers are using. You can't like have people adopt a new standard and make them pick up like brand new tooling. Well, some of it will, but a lot of the scalability comes from just product integration.
I think just a lot of people are way too focused on the model layer. Like one of the things that's happened is with the advent of these really powerful generative AI models, they're really good at many things. And so the need for everyone to train their own model has gone away. Instead, what's incredibly important is making it sure that you're not locked into a single model and that you're using all of the right techniques to build on top of them, right? So what's the right data that's available in real time? What tools? How do you orchestrate among multiple agents? That's where value creation is. And so I think a lot of people are stuck in the past thinking like, oh, we need to fine-tune a model. There's a certain case where fine-tuning a model can be an optimization, but that shouldn't be most people's focus, right? So I think the community is still learning and evolving how to build the most effective agents that deliver value. In the aspect of like how do you leverage these decentralized models, there's great DePIN, right? So we're partnering with folks like Nosana and Hyperbolic and Ether who have great options, right? And then there's more out there. And then at the next layer up, optimize serving frameworks, right? Because for most agents, most applications, having dedicated GPUs is really inefficient, right? So multiplexing and having many people sharing to do inference is way more powerful, right? So you have folks like Hyperbolic, Nosana, and Zero-G that are offering those kinds of optimized inference endpoints on decentralized. So I think that's a really valuable service to the community as well.
I think just very simply, in order for the decentralized world to win, it just has to work better. And it has to be cheaper, it has to be faster, it has to be easier. It has to allow for new things to be possible. So I think that has to be, that's the litmus test. And right now, I don't feel that it's really met that litmus test. Decentralized solutions can't compete with centralized ones. So I think that as an industry, we have to think about really making that happen.
Okay, I think Evgeny just mentioned something very important. I think for the training, it is very hard because of the latency. It is very hard to use the decentralized computing power. But I think for the inferencing, also maybe the pre-training, still possible to use the decentralized network to do that. So I think for the next question, let's focus on the decentralized AI. So as the decentralized AI requires a significant computation resources, how are you optimizing resource allocation on-chain versus off-chain?
Yeah, well, I think everyone just runs models off-chain right now. Some people do consensus on, on inference. There is a sort of work in progress in creating verifiable training, but I'm not sure if anything like in production for now. But mainly from what I see, people just say, okay, like this is non-deterministic, models, right? Non-deterministic outputs. So we just run the computation off-chain, and then we can figure out some sort of trust layer with a blockchain power using consensus or using like some ZK proofs for privacy, which is going to be on top of it. So like the chain would not be actually the bottleneck for running the model itself. It just adds some additional features on top of model execution.
Yeah, this is basically the higher plane that I was talking about, right? You are going to be seeing compute coming from centralized players, inference, training, everything's coming from decentralized players, centralized players. But how are you making it composable and, to be honest, portable? Today you're using one provider. Can you switch to a decentralized provider? Can the incentives given to the users to bring the data, to bring the inference, bring any of the part of the ecosystem still keep working? That is a blockchain right there. That's exactly the high-level plane that we're missing right now. Well, not missing. I think there are a lot of people building that. But where I think as a bridge, you bring in the centralized players while also helping them adopt like a lot of the decentralized process to collaborate.
I mean, I think the really important thing is the point of optimization, the point of value creation is the agent that a user is interacting with. And so it's incredibly important to have good way of assessing quality and relevance of agents for a given purpose, right? So the optimization is like, what are the right set of agents to solve a task? What's the trade-off of cost versus value creation? That's really important. Like any marketplace has to have a way of assessing, is this a good outcome? Have a proof of contribution, this agent help with an outcome, a proof of collaboration, these agents work well together. That's what we're emphasizing with both human feedback, using costly signals like people are actually paying to use agents, but also using AI evaluators, agents to evaluate other agents, right? So I think things like the integrity of the computation, as well as the effectiveness of the outcome, this all is a subset of the reputation, the quality of agents. And so if we optimize that, then agent developers can optimize the models and the computation appropriately.
Yeah, I think just building off that, I think the world of AI agents is radically different than the world of the human internet. And I think we have to think deeply about what that actually means. What are the new things that are made possible? What are the new risks that we face? And how do we design to sort of address that? So exactly what you said, that agents can now coordinate with one another. Well, what does that mean? And what systems do we actually need to make that possible? What are the new risk vectors that we have to think about? And how do we get ahead of the game? A lot of the tech industry has been in, if we look back at tech over the past 10, 20 years, we find that oftentimes there's one new sort of insight, one new innovation, and people run to that, and people build around that, and they oftentimes don't think about what happens down the road. Social media is a great example of that, and there's many other examples as well. And so, with us being at this we're sort of like the good guys with the Rebel Alliance. We're trying to make the world a better place. We have this idealistic sort of element to crypto and Web3, and so if we really kind of own that a little bit. What happens if we really kind of take a step back and not just look at one step ahead, yes agents, yes payments, but what else is there? What else do we need to think about, and how do we plan for that now?
I really like the idea about the agent one. Actually, this is, I think, one of the uses of the future AI agent. So basically, the agent can help allocate the resources on-chain, off-chain. I think this is very important for the future AI agent one of the development as well. And also, putting the trust and also putting the security and also maybe the data layer on-chain, and then using the off-chain resources to support them. This is also very interesting. And then here comes to the next question. So basically, what strategies are you using to address the interoperability issues, especially in AI workflow across different blockchain ecosystems? So maybe let's start from that way, Chetan.
Sure. So we just released a new innovation called chain signatures. And that basically allows us to be able to unite all the different blockchain platforms together so that if you're building a smart contract and you want to reference another smart contract on another chain, you can easily do that. So now we can think of, we have a fragmented Web3 ecosystem, and now we can think about that being a unified Web3 ecosystem.
What we see is, while it's really valuable to have a chain, we're building one for agents to coordinate among themselves. The agents themselves, just like people, need to have access to every chain, right? They need to be able to manage keys and be able to interact on multiple chains. And so, we have a number of partners who are building agents that can transact on behalf of users, where what we're seeing is it's a phase of innovation, and there's a lot of approaches to that. I don't think we're ready yet to have the standards come out, but I think that's going to come rapidly. What are the standards for how agents can act multi-chain?
Yeah, I think we come from a domain company. Domains are already a decentralized standard. You actually own your identity. As an agent, you can have a domain, and you can put all the data that you would put on a chain and make it available not just on multi-chain, everywhere on the internet. And it's sovereign. Like, no one can censor that. So we're building tooling to basically let the naming, attestation, any data proofs that an agent needs to generate be available multi-chain through like a simple, Web 2, Web 3 bridge. And it just works out of the box on every internet, right? Because which internet protocol does not have DNS access like everything does?
Yeah, so just a couple of words. Like, I think as I said earlier, different networks probably would do different things, like labeling data, labeling this data set, like training and inference. So the problem of, if there is a single user that wants to kind of leverage the stack, the problem of paying to all these networks is actually quite big, because like you need many tokens involved. You need to bridge. So that's why actually, like as you guys mentioned, basically, something like chain signatures by near or something like hidden bridges would basically solve this on a payment on a user level, and then that was make the experience for users much easier on whatever level of the stack.
So after several questions about the high level discussion of the infrastructure and also something about the overview of the AI, we want to come to the ground. So basically, what real world application of the decentralized AI are you currently developing and also piloting? Because I think the application is really important, no matter just for the AI infrastructure and also for the public chain. If you don't have any application in the future, the industry cannot develop at all. So we really want to just discuss about the applications. Let's start from the Chetan as well.
Yeah, so right now we have a few different initiatives that we're working on. One is building really thinking about a decentralized training for foundation models and larger models in general. And I know that there's a lot of expertise right here on the panel regarding that. So that's one topic. A second one is around user intents and really how do we translate intents into reality, and that involves the plumbing of how to get the plumbing right around payments and communications. And the third is really building an AI ecosystem, as I was mentioning earlier, where it's easy for a Web3 AI provider to sort of plug in, and suddenly an AI developer has access to a rich ecosystem of solutions.
As I mentioned, we're seeing a lot of excitement and adoption in our testnet. And so some of the use cases we're seeing around DeFi, right? So being able to dig into meme coins or blue chip tokens and understand pricing action, understand the conversation on Twitter. And what's exciting is we're seeing, though, the collective design where agents come together, that we have partners that have these intent or action agents that can then make it easy to do a trade following that, fitting in seamlessly, right? So that's just sort of the next logical step. The same way, like forecasting, prediction markets, tons of excitement. We have partners coming in as well as having leveraged some open source to deploy agents in that space. And then, one more that we're seeing is in Web3 social, right? So we're seeing a lot of excitement from the Bondex community, which is a career site that is based, DApp and Web3 native. So people are engaging to explore job opportunities, interact, apply, prepare for career, right? So those are just some of the really exciting use cases we're seeing in our testnet already.
Yeah, our focus is mostly on identity. So, if you're a user, you're an agent, you're an infra provider, how do you plug into all these blockchains doing different things? One blockchain might be offering compute, another might be like data incentives. So how do you consistently bring your identity everywhere on chain? And then once you're ready to deploy, how do these models, how do these identity get integrated into regular Web2 infrastructure? So kind of building that orchestration layer that uses cross bridges between DNS to say hey, this is my uniform identity, this is how I participate in this economy, whether it's marketplaces or whether it's programs or just models, to be honest.
We are more on infrastructure side than application side. So basically we are trying to deliver the best product in terms of infrastructure. So it's so easy for AI developers to rent the compute, to deploy their models, to run it, to see all the analytics and all the other stuff. So we are trying to keep it very focused and simple, and deliver just the best infra at best price with the best latency and compete with you guys.
Yeah, this is very straightforward. Yeah. So the next one is what governance model do you think are best suited for the decentralized AI platforms? Do you envision on-chain governance, DAOs, and also some hybrid approach to regulate the model usage, updates, and also the community involvement? Maybe the UK start.
Yeah, I probably don't have a lot of insights on this topic. We personally just have an on-chain DAO with on-chain voting with the tokens for our network. I think that's just the simplest and straightforward model for many blockchain applications, and also for AI, it works for AI big model governance. But there is quite a lot of nuances in terms of even gas costs when you vote. So off-chain voting, what people do based on snapshot in crypto, also I work for governing AI models. But then I guess there's a much more different setups and frameworks, like heavily depending on the specific application.
I think it's actually all of the above, because we've seen this even with crypto, right? Like we're living in a society. We follow our government laws. We are answering to different people. There is never like a blanket answer, especially for a field as big as AI. I think at the end of the day, there will be all the options, and depending on where you operate, what's your product, how you're operating, who's like your user, who's your participant, you will be using different ways to actually govern yourself. And it will be a hybrid model, but you'll also have like purely decentralized DAOs also participating in it, just like we see in crypto today, just like we've seen in other decentralized systems.
Well, I think it's a critical question, and Chetan is right that as we race ahead with agents, we have a lot of responsibility to do better, and we all like to throw slings and arrows at the centralized players, but it doesn't mean decentralization is a panacea, right? I mean, how do you have governance so that you have? I mean, to me, one of the most important questions is how do we create the right incentives so that we have pro-social agents that play well together and that are rewarded for doing the right thing, and not malicious, manipulative, psychotic agents that are going to actually succeed by doing badly, right? And so like that's an open question. Like I think the simple version of that, nobody wants to have a bunch of spam agents that go out and lower the quality of their experience, but there's a lot of risk if we don't get it right. The other side is the broader DAO governance question in Web3 is far from solved, but again, like we like to point out, hey, monopolists are bad, and we don't like Web2 because there's these big companies. No disrespect to Google, but recently found to be a monopolist by a U.S. court. And so here we are, and there was like, okay, but what we'll do is we'll all vote on chain. It's like, wait a sec. So if you have one shareholder, one vote, one token holder, one vote, do you expect different outcomes than shareholder capitalism? So, I mean, there are efforts to come up with better governance, but, I wouldn't say that we've solved that problem. But what there is, and I think what we can do better as a Web3 community, is an urgent need to come together and do the research and do it in a transparent way on how to do better. What's the new coordination technology, as Sriram from Eigenlayer says, that we can bind agents so that they have binding commitments and we can make sure that they can't violate our expectations. At the same time, thus far, smart contracts and things that are binding on chain are incredibly low level and not flexible enough to capture anything close to alignment. So there's more questions than answers here, but I think we as a community can be serious about taking it seriously and actually making the investments and not rugging the world and saying we're going to invest and then pull back and never actually do it.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think that a key piece that we need to think about deeply is proof of humanity, and including that in the design of these governance protocols. Like you said, I think that just tying governance votes to token holders just feels very kind of like a shitty form of capitalism. Like that doesn't feel like a new paradigm to me. So I think we need to think about this, especially because AI is going to be societal infrastructure very, very soon. So really incorporating and allow individuals to have that sort of voice in how things unfold.
Yeah, so from the Google perspective, I think from a certain level, the regulation and also the reputation is really restricting Google to doing something on the interesting things, to be honest. So I think that's with the certain kind of the governance model and also security of the decentralized AI, I think it is very good for the development of the AI sector. Yeah, so yeah. All right, so today's panel is here. So thanks for all the speakers and thanks for the audience. Yeah,
A round of applause, please, everybody. Thank you so much.